it's the final countdown. It's the Thursday crew. Bobby Gomes, Draft Cheat, and my man Helmet behind the scenes today. Let's get you some news, and then we'll get into the slate, the initial breakdown of this slate from the boys. But Chetty is questionable today, so Osman is questionable. We know about the Tyler Hero news. So Tyler Hero is out. Bam is in. Dedman is in too for the Heat. Boy, the Heat have just been all about the news here this week. Who else we got? There was one other one I want to tell you about. Gafford, Caleb Martin. These guys are both available to play. And then Naz Reid's a game time decision. So that's what we got. Hey, Draft Cheat, you're looking at this big slate tonight. Talk to me. What are some overall views of this evening's slate and maybe a plan of attack?
Yeah, it's a fun one. 6 gamer on a Thursday. Not bad. No complaints here. All the news that we just got, I think, is important. The Chetty Osman news, obviously relevant. Any news on a 6-game slate is pretty relevant. We did just get never mind. That's for tomorrow, Terrence Mann. I just saw that come down my feed. But yeah.
I hate that. They always get us, those sons of bitches.
Yeah. It's like, tell me tomorrow.
Tell me tomorrow.
Daily fantasy sports. But yeah, anyway. I do think it's a fun slate. To me, it looks somewhat straightforward. And I think we're going to see, among these 6 games, I think we're going to see a couple big blowouts. So I think that's going to play a role in this slate. We'll talk about the games, obviously, as we go along. But, yeah, fun slate, and I'm excited for it.
I've been told you have a White Claw in your hand. Is that true?
I have a White Claw in here, yes.
Oh, good job. How many deep are you?
This is my first drink. Usually I can, I'm chilling, doing my work, but once I know I've got to come on the air with you,
yeah,
the drink opens up, and that's the start of my night.
I don't blame you. Honest to God, I'm not even going to blame you for that. That's a wonderful strategy.
Yeah, it's not even a lie. It's the absolute truth.
I completely don't. Hey, Bobby Gomes, let's go, buddy. The hat's on.
Let's go. Yeah,
clean shaven, just looking handsome as ever. Talk to me about this slate. You give me a plan of attack.
Yeah, so basically not the most value, getting some now. Amir Coffey starting for Nicholas Batum just came through, so I think that's some interesting news. Cedi Osman has the questionable, and we just got a Cavs lineup. Garland will start, Rubio, Okoro, Wade, Davis on Thursday, so we'll have to figure out. Hopefully we get some Chetty news. Looking forward to it. Paying up for Jokic, so ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, you got a little Jokic action in here. I'm seeing Pat Bev. I'm seeing Anthony Edwards. DC, let me go back to you here. You said some blowouts. Which games are you circling now that could be the blowouts tonight?
Yeah, the Golden State Cleveland game. I've been on these Cleveland guards, particularly Rubio, Garland, to some extent Chetty Osman. I think they're going to run out of gas. Like they're just outmanned, right? Like Rubio, I've been on him. He's been playing some of the best basketball of his career, but a lot of games in a short amount of time, minutes that he's not used to. They get a back-to-back here after, kind of hanging on against Brooklyn, and now they get Golden State, who's got the best defense in the league, who's rolling right now, playing better than anybody. And to me, this is kind of the spot where maybe Cleveland just, they finally maybe can't compete for a night. So I'm off Cleveland. I've been on Rubio, Garland. I was on Jared Allen when he was healthy, and I was on Mobley. Then he went down, and they've just lost so many guys that I just think at some point it's like, all right, we're gonna get blown out by the best team in the league. So that's the main one I see. And then I'm also worried Utah seems to be playing better at home against Toronto, who is a little bit depleted as well. Those are the 2 games, first game of the night and last game of the night, that I think could get out of hand early.
All right, just wanted to say hi to the chat tonight. Off to their normally wonderful start. Nate, go fuck yourself. And yes, I was chopping wood today, as a matter of fact. My obliques are slightly sore. Junior, I have your gay sister. Good. I'm glad for your sister. More power to her. I'm glad she came out. Stop making fun of her. You can make fun of me all you want. It's wonderful. I'm actually in a great mood today. And thank you very much, Uncle T, who loves my shirt. I don't know how to take that because you're really old and lack a sense of style. So let's go. Let's go, guys. Bobby Gomes. We can do some positions.
How's it going?
We could do some positions. We could do some games. Your choice tonight. I say personally we go positions, but up to you.
Yeah, we'll go positions.
All right.
What the host wants to do.
Good. Let's get a little crazy tonight. Let's start then with point guard. And a lot of options, as always. Like we're talking, I know that DC is fading Cleveland over here, but give me 3 or 4 names. Pat Bev, obviously at 4-2 on DK. Somebody you're interested in since he's in your core. 4-7 on FanDuel. What do you like about Pat Bev? Give me a couple other names.
Yeah, Pat Bev. I think he's pretty much the value. We're kind of star for value on this slate. I think Pat Bev at 4-2. He makes for the best value. Raul Neto, he's another guy for Washington. You're taking Dinwiddie out. Aaron Holiday would be in the mix as well. He's another Washington guy. See who starts there. Neto's the higher point per minute guy. He's going to get the bench usage. Beal's not the type of superstar that sucks up a ton of usage like when he's kind of by himself. So it doesn't make me afraid to play Holiday. Still think Holiday's a very good play. But outside of that, yeah, Ja Morant, I think he's in play if you're paying up for a studded point guard. Obviously, Steph Curry. Steph Curry and Jokic is just a hard really get on this slate, just with the value currently. But yeah, that's pretty much the point guard position. Reggie Jackson took 22 shots yesterday. I think he's very much in play. I like DC's take on the Cleveland guys like Ricky Rubio and Garland. I just think this game eventually blows out. Like they're wearing thin, so I like that call. I think that's interesting for tournaments if you kind of build.
It's just
them being blown out.
They've been playing over their head, right? You look at their games, like it's a lot of low scoring games. They've been slowing the pace down. They just don't have a lot of bodies there, and it's like, you know, Rubio, Garland, and the corpse of Kevin Love versus, you know, Steph and Jordan Poole and Draymond, a team that's surging right now. Clearly, yeah, if this game was in Golden State, it would seem like a certain blow. But even in Cleveland, I just kind of think it's a game that Cleveland's not going to compete with. So, you know, you got to take some stands on a 6-game slate. That's when I'll be taking a full fade of that Cleveland Golden State game for me.
Give me your point guards there, DC. What do you got tonight?
Yeah, if you're paying up, I think it's clear to me, Ja Morant and or DeJounte Murray. Actually, probably not probably one or the other, but I do really like both guys. Been on them from the beginning of the season, 2 breakout stars this year. I see no reason why they wouldn't keep it going here. I mean, Morant going to get a matchup at home against Reggie Jackson defense. Like I think Morant is going to do his thing, and then DeJounte Murray. I get maybe you're a little concerned about the matchup with Beverly, who I do also like, Bobby, but Murray's been so good. I mean, he is, you know, like you identify certain teams with star players, right? Like the Warriors, it's Curry's team. You know, you can go on and on with that. I mean, Jokic and the Nuggets, Luka and the Mavericks, and I feel like, to me, DeJounte Murray is like kind of to that level with the Spurs, where they play as he plays, and good. I think maybe not the best individual matchup with the Timberwolves, but I think a fine kind of game, a very good game environment rather. So I do like DeJounte Murray. I think over Ja Morant, but both guys I think very much in play. And then I think I'm going cheap if I'm not getting to either of those 2 guys. I like the Beverly call, and then the other guy that I really like, I'll be saving a spot for. We don't know for sure if it's going to come in, but Monty Morris for the Denver Nuggets. His role changes entirely when you've got Porter out, but then especially Will Barton is the big guy for Monty Morris. If you look at some of the NBA tracking stats where they track time of possession, dribbles, passes made, passes received, potential assists, drives to the basket, those go way through the roof when he's playing without Will Barton. So you see that these last 2 games for Monty Morris, 35 fantasy points basically in both those games. I think he'll do it again against, I mean, that Sixers backcourt of Maxey and Milton, guys have been playing a ton of minutes. They got to go into Denver. I think the Nuggets win this game. I think Morris plays a big role. I will say, I don't really want him if Will Barton is in there. So, maybe you got to have a plan in place, but Barton was doubtful to start the game. They upgraded him to questionable. So I don't know if he'll play, but if Barton's out, Monty Morris would actually be my favorite point guard on the slate once you consider salary and ownership and all that.
Yeah, I see a couple of people just dropped in. So let me give the news one more time. Chetty is questionable. Terrence Mann's active. Batum is out. Mir Coffee is starting for Batum. And then Bobby said this: Garland, Rubio, Coro, Wade, and Davis. So there's a lot of dicking around in the chat today. Love it. But it's also a good time for you to get your questions in. So if you would like to do that, that's fine. Nape, we're all excited, about you getting engaged, but please, we really don't give a shit when it comes down to it. So let's just get some questions. I mean, there's the GIF. Can you guys just type something so the GIF that's in there right now does not keep popping up, because it's absolutely offensive, and whoever's doing that is going to grow hair on their palms. That's all I'm going to tell you right now. So let's move on to the next position then, right? The next position, Bobby Gomes, that would be shooting guard.
Yeah, shooting guard.
Yeah, give me a little shooting guard love tonight. Where should we start? Huh? I guess, you know what? Here, Chetty's in. Where do you go? Chetty's out. Where do you go? Does it matter or not matter?
Yeah, so if Chetty's in, I'm kind of on the DC take. Like, I think Garland and Rubio probably ought to play, just because if you figure that game blows out for whatever reason, I like this value on the Golden State side at shooting guard. Whether it's Damian Lee or Gary Payton Jr. or these guys that would get minutes if the game.
Chetty's out, by the way. Chetty's out. Real quick. Time out.
All right.
So just came down. Chetty is out tonight. So let's react to that.
To me, the Chetty being out just makes me even further out on that game in general. Yeah. I was going to play Chetty Osman, no chance at 6,100, but it's kind of like it's almost like this is like the first sign of the Cavs recognizing what I think I recognize, is that the Cavaliers they don't have the firepower to compete in this one. So, I think this is like the white flags like starting to come up the pole a little bit. So doesn't change anything for Cleveland for me. I think you'll see some people try to go to guys like Okoro and Dean Wade, and not for me. I'm not touching those guys. So Chetty news just makes me a little even more confident, I guess, in my fading that game take.
Bobby Gomes?
Me and DC are in alignment.
Wow. Yeah. We got some good stuff. Going on right now then. All right. So how about the rest of the shooting guards there, Bobby Gomes?
Yeah. So Anthony Edwards and D'Angelo Russell are probably going to be very highly owned. My favorite's Anthony Edwards. Currently have in my core. I feel like a lot of people probably have him. Just a really good play overall. I think you can play the two of them together tonight. Do think a good pivot in tournaments, just because all these kind of value plays for this Wolves team are picking up chalk. Just playing some Towns. I think that's interesting at the center position, just where we have the value is at center on the slate. So you're leveraging both the value from if Towns has a high usage game, you're leveraging Russell and Edwards and some of this Minnesota value. And you're also getting leverage off of the value if some of it busts at the center position. We're talking shooting guard. So yeah. Terrence Mann, Bledsoe, I think those guys are all in play. Paul George, back to Aaron Holiday if he starts. I think he's a really good play. That would cover the shooting guard position. Gary Trent, those Toronto Raptors, like Nurse just runs them into the ground, so I think he's in play at shooting guard. Bunch of different guys you can go to.
Okay, and again, Pirtle's going to start. He's on a minutes limit. DC, shooting guard, let's hear it from you.
Yeah, we did just get news that Coffee is going to start for the Clippers, who are down Nick Batum here. So he's minimum price, $3K. He'd been getting, he played 22 minutes in that last game, or 25 minutes rather. So the Clippers a little bit shorthanded. I think you'll see people go to Coffee. I would caution against Coffee, who he's like a G League veteran who I think is just kind of the starter in name only. I think it's going to be a lot of Luke Kennard off the bench, who I expect to see 30 plus minutes. So he would be my preferred play if you're going to value it in the Clipper situation. Terrence Mann too. I think those two guys are going to get the actual run for the Clippers at shooting guard and actually be impactful. I would recommend against a 3K starter is kind of, especially on a 6-game slate, a lot of people are going to go that direction. I don't see a lot of upside for Coffee. I think he's the type of starter that might play 15 to 20 minutes and get you 9 fantasy points, something like that. So I would be careful with that. I do like Paul George. He's doing it pretty much every night. He's expensive, 11K. Jokic is a priority for me, so it's hard to get both those guys. But I think he is at least interesting. I mentioned Kennard, I think, is a good play. Gary Payton, too. the mitten, the young glove, he's been fantastic, man. He is an incredible player, incredible find for the Warriors. I just worry about the minutes. He hasn't been getting blowout run. Other value options to look at. I think you'll see a lot of people look at Aaron Holiday for Washington. I'm a little hesitant on him. Again, kind of question the upside, but I do like a little bit Lonnie Walker for the Spurs, 3,600, still getting 20 minutes most nights. And then PJ Dozier for the Denver Nuggets. Again, coming off the bench, but they're shorthanded, and it's 20 to 25 minutes every single night for him. He can score the basketball a little bit. So I think some decent value for sure at shooting guard if you want to go in that direction. Obviously, Bradley Beal without Dinwiddie, if Washington's going to compete with Miami, they're going to need Beal to have a big game. It's just, I would prefer to spend elsewhere. That's another game, not as much as the other two, but I could see possibly the Washington struggling to compete in this game.
Wow. What do you guys think of Washington overall? I know all my boys are excited, man. They're finally off to a good start for the first time in about 7,000 years. It's actually a fun team to watch, right? You're enjoying that, DC. I see you shaking your head. I like them.
Yeah, I like that backcourt combination. Dinwiddie Beal is a good 1-2 at the and then you got Harrell off the bench, Kuzma. So yeah, their team has improved, no question. But going into Miami is a tough place, especially for a team that's getting healthier. I know they're missing Tyler Hero, but they get Lowry, Butler, Adebayo back for one of the better teams in the league. So another team that I'm a little bit concerned about tonight, to be honest.
Bobby. You like the Wizards? What do you like about them? Or is it a night where you just completely stay off this team? What about the big picture and the small picture on these guys?
Yeah, Neto, Aaron Holiday, like if we have starters, I think they're both good plays, to be perfectly honest. Big T has Denny Avdija in his core at 370.
Denny Avdija. Yeah.
Avdija.
Right?
Avdija. Yeah, that's a tongue twister, Holden.
I know.
So we call it a tongue twister. Yeah, basically, I personally, like, I think Avdija is an interesting play at power forward because I think Boucher is going to be pretty chalky, and I think if like Utah wants, he's a very difficult player to play just in terms of his defense. AP kind of hit on it on the Hardwood show. Like if the game's close, like Boucher might lose minutes immediately. So going to a guy like Avdija, I think makes sense at power forward. Is he at power forward? I think he is. He is maybe has both eligibility, dual eligibility.
Okay.
Yeah, small forward, power forward eligibility. So
who's Wedgie?
Wedgie? It's an interesting name.
Tobias Harris or Swift Wedgie?
I feel like I'm pretty up on nicknames. I have no idea who Swift Wedgie
Junior,
is.
you got us lost, buddy. I have no fucking clue who you're talking about.
I'm sure that's a good explanation. I'm excited to hear it, but I don't
me too.
know. Yeah.
Hey, you already kind of talked about this, DC, but Damian Lee in the blowout script from Fibber.
Yeah.
I like him.
I think that he has merit for sure. I like to play the guys that are going to be in the rotation at least a little bit for sure, and then could get run if it comes to a blowout. So Damian Lee does fit kind of both those criteria. He can get hot from deep. That's another thing I like when I'm looking for a super value play. It's like, could this guy bury, 3 3-pointers in 5 possessions, right? You see sometimes the bench just go off. Damian Lee's a person who at least could do it, right? Could get hot for 25, 30 fantasy points. So yeah, I don't mind that call.
And you like it, Bobby Gomes, right?
Yeah, I'm with DC. Like these Golden State value guys in the blowout, I think become super in playing large field tournaments or tournaments in general.
Okay.
If you build for that script.
Hey, Junior, you are banned from asking questions after that stupid wedgie thing. I'll tell you that much. We're done, Ski Junior. We're done. Actually, we're not done, but what the fuck are you talking about with this wedgie thing? Anyways, we are 20 minutes into the show. If you would like to get your questions in, start now, because what always happens, you guys watch this, the last 30 minutes of the show, everybody comes in. We got to rush with the questions. So start throwing them in now. K. Philippe Burner, thank you. GPJ and a blowout run looks tasty. No?
Gary Payton Jr. I think in blowout scripts, it's a very good. Very good.
He hasn't. They've been very, very cautious with his minutes, where they actually haven't given him blowout run. Golden State's played so well that we do have a couple examples over the last 5 or 6 games where they completely blew out teams and emptied the bench. and Peyton hasn't been on the floor to finish the game in either scenario. I think they view him as like a big piece of their rotation.
We do.
I still like him a little bit, but I was going to be all in on Gary Payton if I thought he was going to be a blowout run, and I don't think he will. So that's a concern.
Okay.
Good, Bobby. You seem like you maybe wanted to say it.
Yeah. So Daniel Gafford's out for the Wizards.
Oh man,
what does that do for you? Let's react to that, Bobby.
So like Montrezl Harrell, I think, is in play now. The Wizards are just. I don't think it's like a huge bump, but he's definitely enough to actually. Trez is probably a really good play.
Oh, of course,
yeah. Trez.
So we can find a Wizard to play now.
This makes me weirdly.
This makes me more interested in the Wiz.
Right, because we're just talking. We're talking about a potential blowout, but it's all just playing probabilities, right? Of course, I don't think the chance of Wizards getting blown out is anywhere near 100%. I just thought it was kind of too high compared to some of the other spots. But now Trez, to me, at 6,200 on DraftKings, he's going to get. I mean, if this game stays close, he's going to basically get all the minutes he can handle. He's just a point per minute monster, even in a tough matchup against Adebayo. So, but I don't want to play necessarily Harrell all by himself, right? Because if the Wizards stay close, they're probably bringing other players with them, right? Other starters, Beal, talk about Raul Neto perhaps, just because they're so shorthanded at this point. So weirdly, even though it's not going to like move the line, of course, in the Wizards' favor, I like Harrell, and then I feel like I almost have to like some other Wizards with him. So that's big news because Gafford went from questionable to probable and now to out.
Dunsky.
So
I'm in on Harrell for sure. You got to be, right, Bobby? I mean,
yeah, I think Harrell becomes a really good play.
Yeah,
we have so much center value, but I still think he becomes a good play.
Yeah, so I'm just looking at Big T's score. You kind of mentioned this. So he's got Neto and Avija right now.
Denny might see a bump in terms of this situation, like just in terms of ownership, but it'd probably be slight. But I think Denny's definitely is a really good play now. Well, not like he was like a sneaky play, and now he's a little bit less sneaky, but he's still a good play.
WC DeLuca. Who gets blowout run for Golden State and Cleveland? Good question. One of you guys want to take this first?
Yeah.
Let DC can take
it. So Golden State has a deep bench. With all the COVID stuff going on and injuries, there's some teams that have like 15 dudes available, and then other teams that have like the Cavs have been kind of like blowout proof over this last week or two because they're just out of bodies, but not the Warriors. I mean, in their last game where they blew out the other team, they closed with Moses Moody, Juan Toscano Anderson, Jonathan Kuminga, Bielitsa, and Poole. So like four of those guys, Moody, Lee, Anderson, Kuminga, Lee is in the rotation, but he didn't even close the game. So yeah, it's guys in the Golden State team that you don't really want to play because you need like the blowout run and it might not get there anyway. I mean, they're not going to play in the first half. They're just going to play like the last 6 minutes of the game. And then Cleveland, I feel less confident projecting who would be out there and blowout run, but especially with Osman out, but guys that you don't want to play in general, I would say on this slate.
Okay. Just real quick for those of you playing Showdown tonight, Cordero Patterson's out. If you were interested in that, just throwing some football news out there at you. No, Cordero Patterson will be check. You guys are subscribers that you get the Showdown stuff. Sometimes I get questions like, Holden, how do I get to the Showdown stuff? You got it. Just go to the Showdown side. You can play NBA Showdown. You can play NFL Showdown. We got all that stuff. So we'll continue looking for the news there. Let's go to the small forward position. Actually, you know what? Before we do that, hey, DC, did you have a core? Do you want to throw a core out today? I mean, you're doing the show.
Yeah, I always put one in during the show, but
okay.
Still working.
Can you throw it in the live chat?
Yep, I'll do both.
All right, terrific. Yeah, and then when it's there, I'd love to hear about it. And then, Bobby, you got Jokic, Pat Bev, Anthony Edwards, Montrezl Harrell. There's one spot open. I want you to take us through your process right now. What are you thinking about that
process? Is kind of just fluctuating at this point because I kind of want to see where everything's kind of landing in terms of like my builds. But yeah, I'm playing around with Harrell. Denny, I think, is really interesting. I think Denny at a position where like it's power forward. I just think the value of power forward isn't the greatest. So, and he has dual position eligibility. I think he's a really good play. He's not in my core. He's more in tees, but really like the Denny call. Yeah, just thinking through it. Edwards, Jokic, I think is just the absolute best spend on the slate. Like highest pay up. He's just 6-game slate. Like it's tough to get away from either. Well, you can't really play with the value we have. You can't play Jokic and Curry together. Really, it might have opened up now, but I'm still on the path where I think that Golden State just blows out Cleveland. So I don't want Curry in that scenario.
We got the question of the night. How many Wizards is too many Wizards?
I wouldn't go too crazy with the Wizards.
Yeah, they could get blown out. They could get blown out. So, well, if they get blown out, then they're still likely to see some minutes.
2 or 3?
Which one? 3. Yeah.
I mean, the Wizards right now. Harrell's the best. If you're playing Wizards, I'm starting with Harrell, right? Like he's clearly the first Wizard in there for me. From there, Avdija, however you say that, Avdija, I think is solid at 3,700. Can play him at either forward spot. And then, if you're playing those two guys, you're kind of saying, I think the Wizards are going to compete in this game, may or may not. If they do, you got to think Beal has a big game too, right? I kind of like putting Beal and Harrell together. Those are the two guys that I think, if you told me this game is going to be close in the fourth quarter, I have to think it's going to be a lot of Beal and Harrell that kind of get them there. Those are clearly the two best players. And then, you can throw in Kuzma at this point, another guy that I think is going to have to play well for them to do well. So a lot more interest in the Wizards than I did previously, which I don't want to react too much, right, to Gafford being out, but it does seem to, I don't know. It's tough, but I think at least it's having a big influence on my lineups right now for sure.
Okay. You better relax, bro. Thoughts on Slow-Mo and Melton on DK?
With Dylan Brooks there, maybe like the ancillary pieces outside of Morant. Even I think Dylan Brooks like kind of hurts Morant, even though I like him a bit tonight. Like just for some reason he just wants to chuck, right? So he takes away from those guys when they're likely better players, in my opinion.
DC, Brittany wants you to talk her off of Triple J.
I actually like Jaren Jackson Jr. quite a bit tonight. Mostly his matchup. The Clippers don't really have anybody to put on him. So they've got the two centers, obviously in Zubac and Hartenstein, but I don't really think either of those guys will be on Triple J. It's going to be guys like, Luke Kennard. They don't really have a power forward, right? Like, and Jaren Jackson Jr. is kind of he's like a 4 or 5 hybrid a little bit. Like he can shoot from deep, but he can also score in the post. And I don't really see anyone for the Clippers that should slow him down. So very high variance play. He's always in foul trouble. The minutes aren't always there, but when he plays well and stays out of foul trouble and the game's close, again, a lot of ifs, but he'll get the minutes in those scenarios. So I like him quite a bit.
Bobby, what's your take on Bam for a DK GPP?
I like Bam. That's the issue, right? Like you only have you only have 2 center positions and we have a ton of center value. Harrell just opened up. Then if you want to spend up for Jokic, like I think Jokic is the best play on the slate. So center gets tough in terms of like your decision making, but Bam is a very good play for the Heat. I like both Bam and Jimmy tonight.
All right. We haven't gotten to a small forward yet. So DC, why don't you take small forward? Who's in the pool right now? Who are you considering?
Yeah. Give me Paul George over Jimmy Butler if you're spending all the way up. I could see Jimmy being eased off the minutes maybe a little bit tonight. First game back yesterday, missed 3 or 4 games, played 37 minutes. I think they would prefer to not play him that many. We'll see. They obviously got a little bit healthier. So give me Paul George over Butler, but both guys are fine. And then, Edwards, I think is a strong play. Again, I don't want to play too many Timberwolves, but certainly Anthony Edwards is a good way to go. Avdija, as we've talked about, either forward spot for him. Luke Kennard, I think, is going to play big minutes for the Clippers tonight at 4,400 is a solid play. And the Spurs do have a couple guys too. Vassell, I think, is solid. Lonnie Walker is solid. PJ Dozier. So this isn't a position where I want to go, playing a bunch of lineups. I wouldn't want to go all aboard on any one small forward necessarily. I think you kind of mix and match here, at least the way I see it.
Okay. Bobby Gomes, give me some small forward plays today. Who's in your pool?
Yeah, so small forward. Definitely think you have to include Abade now with the small forward, power forward eligibility. Anthony Edwards has the dual eligibility from shooting guard to small forward. I think Jeff Green is definitely in play. He's at 3.8 we kind of have to wait on the Barton news, but he's a good play. Scotty Barnes, 20, I don't mind him. Like I said, all these Toronto guys are going to play minutes. Good call on Butler. On the back end of a back-to-back, first game back the other day, I don't think I have a ton of interest in him. And I think the best spend at the small forward position is Paul George. In large field stuff, I think you take shots on Georges Yang or Lonnie Walker as well.
Let me throw a couple lineups out at you. Wizards just dropped theirs. Holiday, Beal, KCP, Kuzma, and Harrell. And then the Heat are going with Lowry, who's back, Robinson, Butler, Tucker, Adebayo. Oof.
KCP has done really well in the spot previously, or the one time there was only really one game. It was only one game, but it's only been a one game situation with Dinwiddie out. But then you're taking these other guys off the court. He does get stock, so I don't mind KCP for larger field tournaments, and I don't know, small forward's just a KCP. So I don't want to overload with these Washington Wizards because of this line, and just this game could blow out. So
right now I'm leaning toward, I liked Paul George at the beginning of the day, but there's so many value small forwards now that I think at least one, maybe a couple guys get there at value small forward. So I think that could be the position to potentially save, right? Where they could get, I think they'll get closer to Paul George than the value centers will to Jokic, would be the way that I would put it. So I think saving at small forward, again, we've named, 7, 8 guys. I think it's probably the direction I'm going to go. And I think the best direction to go, to be honest, guys that mid-range, Barnes, Kuzma, Wiggins, Dylan Brooks, Gary Trent, Bogdanovich, Duncan Robinson. I'm not really living there. I'm going all the way up to George, or I'm going most likely cheap in most of my lineups.
D Smith wants to know, you guys have any sort of ownership on Jokic? Any thoughts on that?
Jokic is going to be trying to find it now. So,
unless you throw out some giant number, which I don't think you're going to do.
26%.
Yeah, I'm in on Jokic.
Yeah.
3 of our 4 guys on the FanDuel cores got him.
Yeah, we'll get. We'll
get into center. Okay,
yeah.
We got time for that. And then the other question would be from Connor. He wants to know Garland, Rubio, or Reggie Jackson, FanDuel point guard. Garland, Rubio, or Jackson?
I'm going Jackson today. Yeah, we talked about fading the Cavs. I'm gonna stick with it. I'm just not playing any Cavaliers in my lineups at all today. Zero. And so that would lead me to Jackson, the only non-Cavalier in that question.
Bobby?
Yeah, Reggie Jackson took 22 shots yesterday. It's pretty juicy, in my opinion. Plays the pick and roll well, and go and hit on this on the hardwood. So if you're playing him with Zubac, I think that's interesting. I think one of the main things that I find, DC talked about the small forward value, but we have a lot of center value too. When you figure the best spends on the slate currently are Jokic and Paul George, you can include Curry, but we're both of the opinion that game kind of blows out. Maybe paying up at point guard wouldn't be the worst route in tournaments on the slate, and just eating some of this value. I'm not saying fade Jokic, obviously, but my mind works. I play a ton of tournaments, so just kind of thinking through this, I'm going to play around with a couple builds that way. Got to hurry up.
All right, good. DC wants to get your thoughts on Monte Morris, and that's basically injury news, right? We're just waiting on Barton.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to guess, I would guess Barton sits. He sat last game, and they listed him doubtful. The midday upgrade, I don't know how to react to that, but to me, Morris is very much a priority play on this slate if Barton is out. So I'll have my cores up soon. He'll be in there for sure, and I'll try to pivot off of him if Barton ends up playing, but even if Barton's in there, I think Morris is fine, right? So you don't need to. I don't feel like I need like a getaway route. I'm not going to like completely change my lineup if Barton is in to get Morris out. I'll get out if I can, but I think he's still a fine play either way.
Got a lot of good questions tonight. I like it, guys and ladies, of course. NBA DK. Sorry if it's been asked. What do you think about Jordan Clarkson? Can you give a little Jordan Clarkson real quick?
I'm not really on Clarkson. He'd probably be my favorite out of like Ingles and Bogdanovich, and I don't know, out of those like guys that aren't Mitchell and Gobert on the Jazz. But I'm not getting to Clarkson tonight.
Okay. Who is your favorite Raptor if the game keeps close? No OG is a lot of missing usage from Foxy.
Probably Siak. You can take this one.
I was going to say, go ahead. I'm not really on the Utah Toronto game.
Stay away.
Yeah.
If you had to
Siakam.
Siakam.
Yeah.
All right. Hey guys, we still got 2 positions to get through. Bobby, I know you want to get to center, but let's go to power forward. I'm going to start with you here, DC, at power forward. Just want your player pool here. A few guys that stand out to you this evening. Obviously, Avija is going to be in the circle of trust tonight. But I want to start with Aaron Gordon. Is there enough there? Let's say Barton is out, and I know it's not directly correlated, but there's more of the pie to go around. Can I sell you on Gordon 5-1 FanDuel 5-3 DK?
I think he's a fine play, but not someone that I am at all prioritizing, or frankly will probably end up playing myself. Won't play him rather. The more pie to go around for sure. Obviously, if Barton does sit, obviously missing Porter Jr., Jamal Murray, all those guys. Jokic, he takes just a lot of the pie. Like, you have arguably the best player in the league in Nikola Jokic. He's going to take more of it always if someone significant is out. And then in my opinion, and the data backs this up, the other big piece that's missing goes to the point guards. Monty Morris, maybe a Bones Highland off the bench, but not Aaron Gordon. He just plays the same role. It doesn't really seem to matter, who's off the court. I think you would need when Jokic is out, maybe you see Aaron Gordon, but they're not saying, okay, you handle the ball, you run the pick and roll. It just doesn't happen for Aaron Gordon. He just kind of plays that same, stopper defender role, plays on the wing, a lot of standing in the corner, frankly, for Aaron Gordon. And they don't utilize him as a playmaker or anything like that. So, in my opinion, he doesn't get that big of a bump.
Bobby, any thoughts on him? Actually, you know what? DC, give me the player pool here. A power forward.
Yeah. So, Avija, as we talked about, I think is a very strong play. Siakam, I don't mind if you think that game stays close in Utah. Kuzma, I think, is now in play just because of Washington just kind of needs. It's kind of an all hands on deck situation for them to some extent, where the good players they have left sort of need to perform in Miami for them to compete. And then some cheaper guys, Luke Kennard, 4,400, I think gets, I think probably 30 plus minutes. Again, not the most comfortable play in the world, but I do think he'll be out there. And then probably my favorite play here is Jaren Jackson Jr. Talked about him a little bit previously. You look at the minutes. They're just all over the place, but he's just extremely foul prone. But if he plays well, I do think he'll get the minutes here. Like last game, against Houston, playing very well, 36 fantasy points in 24 minutes. The game's a blowout, but if you look at the rotations, he was going to play like 33, 34 minutes in that game if he got his last rotation. And, this is a rare game where he's not in foul trouble. I think he can stay out of it here, and I love the matchup for him. I don't think the Clippers have anybody that'll be guarding him that won't be a favorable matchup for Jaren Jackson Jr. I mean, he can score, rebound, he can pass a little bit, and then he can contribute defensively. So he's one of those players that does have upside if they do get the minutes. A little bit risky, but I like him quite a bit.
All right, Bobby Gomes, give me the power forward breakdown.
Yeah, so power forward. 1 second. Jeff Green, Aaron Gordon. I think they're pretty much. I actually have interest, like, because now I think I'm moving off Jokic. I'm just gonna flip the build and play point guards. Play Harrell, probably play Birch. I just flip my core around. I get John Morant, DeJounte, Anthony Edwards, Harrell, and Birch in my core. Just I know I only have one lineup in the 555. I know everyone's going to spin up for Jokic, and it just doesn't make sense with one lineup. You're pretty much like Jokic is obviously the best play on the slate, but there's a ton of center value, ton of forward value. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm going to go Murray and Morant. Anthony Edwards, I think, is for me is a lock. Harrell at 6'2", and Kyle Birch at 3K.
Okay, we'll get to center in a couple of minutes here, but let's start with more questions. B Money, DC, would you swap to Korkmaz if Barton's in?
Yeah, he's asking obviously Monty Morris and Korkmaz. I actually think I would stay with Monty Morris in that situation. I don't like the Sixers here much, to be honest, and Korkmaz just I think Morris would still have more upside the way I see it.
On DK, Bobby Gomes, Beverly Dozier or Monte and Boucher? Beverly Dozier, Monte Boucher.
Beverly Dozier, Monte Boucher. I'm going to go Beverly Dozier.
All right. RH15, guys, what do you think about playing a lower owned point guard with Adams?
Lower owned point guard with Adams. I think that's perfectly fine.
Okay. Here's one on Bones Highland. Where was that one? Yeah, Bones Highland bounce back tonight if Barton is out. Boy, that's
yeah, I'm in.
I'm in for that too. I'm in for that. Bones got hurt in that last game for a little bit, so he kind of missed a rotation. And it benefited Kate Hampton. So like, yeah, I like Bones tonight. I think he's a really good player.
I mean, yeah, you'll see, when Bones is out there, if Barton's out, big ifs, but if Barton's out, you'll see Bones bringing the ball up the court. He's super aggressive shooting the ball. I think he's going to have some big games for the Nuggets. He's going to be one of those guys. It's kind of hard to predict when that'll occur, but this is certainly a spot, right? Against the Sixers backcourt, a depleted team at home. I mean, it looks like a bone spot for me for sure. So yeah, but again, I don't really want him if Barton's in there. So make sure to pay attention to that.
Ship my Benjamins. Fellas, I need a punt on FanDuel. Des Bain, Luke Kennard, Terrence Mann, 3 question marks. Bain, Kennard, Mann. Anything there, guys?
All Bain, 3 guys Kennard, are in play. Yeah. I think I might lean Mann at this point.
RH1580, lower owned Paul George with Adams is what I meant. LOL.
Lower owned Jones. Yeah, I think that's fine for a correlation.
D Smith, if I think the Heat game blows out, is Harrell still in play?
No, that's where I worry with Harrell. That's why Denny is a really good play. I'm just playing Harrell for tournament upside and seeing if I can get it to stay close.
All right. DC, let's get to the center position, man. Obviously, we've talked about Jokic ad nauseum here. There are some other options. I don't know if anyone's going double center tonight on DK, but give me a little rundown here on the center position. How many other guys besides Jokic do you consider?
Yeah, Jokic is the first guy in my lineup tonight. Just does everything for this Denver team. There's just certain guys that are just like, unless he gets hurt or just he's rarely in foul trouble these days. I don't think Philadelphia has the forces to compete with this Jokic-led Denver team right now, and with hopefully Barton out and what is his name, the power forward. Porter Jr. I think Jokic is just going to crush as long as he's in there. And then Harrell, I think, kind of a tough call. You're going to get Harrell very, very popular. I think people, weren't expecting the Gafford news. You get the Gafford news and right, Bobby? I mean, was this kind of your instant reaction?
It was my instant reaction. Yeah, I get
mine too. So I think everybody's going to pivot to Harrell, which makes me a little bit nervous, but I do think he's the second best play at center regardless. But I could see that going south.
Where does Bam land?
He's a good play too. I'm paying for Jokic, so I'm not going to get the Bam. It's just hard to get to both those guys, and Jokic is a priority for me on this play. Other places you could look. I mean, Ed Davis getting another start here at center, 3,600. He got 24 minutes, put up 24 fantasy points in that last start. Again, not on Cleveland in particular, but I wouldn't hate that. Hartenstein, 3,800, I think is fine. And then Steven Adams at 4,600 against the Clippers, I think is a decent play as well. They have two, traditional centers on the court at all times, in Zubac and Hartenstein. So those are the games where Adams can sometimes get 30-plus minutes. So 4,600 for him, I think is good. But Harrell and Jokic, kind of the way I'm leaning right now.
Okay, Bobby, let's do center here. You kind of mentioned just about everything, but some pivots, and if you were going to go the second center along with Jokic.
Yeah, Jokic. I think he's like far and away the best play on the slate. Kyle Birch and Harrell would probably be the guys that I'm targeting the most. Steven Adams is interesting. I don't mind him. Boucher, I'm just totally off. I don't even know if he has center. Like, just can't play that guy. He went off in this spot like 2 weeks ago when we did the show, and we actually on a Thursday night. But it was just interesting that he was pretty much the value earlier in the day, and we would have had to sort through that kind of if we didn't get this news. Zubac's another play. Behind Zubac, I like Hartenstein a little bit. 3.8. I think he's pretty good. I don't think he's a bad player at all. He's comparative to Zubac, like he's going to see less minutes, but if he does get those minutes, he plays well. I think he's fine in large field stuff. And then Draymond, you would think like Draymond gets a huge bump with Curry off the court, but he does not. So I just don't really have any interest in Draymond, especially if I think this game's going to blow out for Golden State in the way of Golden State.
All right, I was just looking here. Warriors lineups out: Curry, Poole, Wiggins, Green, Looney. Thompson's coming back soon, isn't he? He's starting to run 5-on-5s in practice, so that'd be fun to get him back out there. Hey, Bobby, real quick, since your core is done, will you please discuss it with us? It's a little different than the other guys that I'm seeing, which is kind of fun. I don't see anybody else on Ja, who's always in the mix. DeJounte, Edwards, Montrez, and Birch. How'd you land upon these guys?
Just trying to flip the build. I know everyone's kind of playing Jokic. They're going to play Birch. I know what everyone's going to play. And then from there, I'm just trying to get different because that's the way you win in DFS.
Okay.
So one thing I would like to say for the center position, like with Podol on the minutes limit, Thad Young has center eligibility. We have so much value on the slate. I don't think you have to go there, but in large field, I think there was at 5.5, like he's somewhat interesting if you're playing like 150 MME.
DC just posted his score, so let's do it. He threw it in the live show chat. I'm sure it's in the NBA chat as well. Beal, Avija, Harrell.
Barton probable.
Huh?
Barton probable.
Barton's probable now, so that's big news. Let's respond to that in a second. Beal, Avija, Harrell. So you got 3 Wizards to go along with 2 Nuggets, Morris and Jokic. Can you just explain the build there?
Yeah, I'll start with the Washington guy. 3 Washington guys. I think you can play a 4th value piece in there if you want to. It's kind of just, I think if Washington competes in this game, I think Harrell at 6,200 is basically certain to get there. And then if that happens, I think Beal gets there too. Avija, a cheap bench piece. So that's the Washington side of it. Obviously, 3/5 of the core there. The other 2 guys are 2 Denver guys, Morris and Jokic. But again, unexpected news for me with Will Barton trending toward playing. That's going to remove Monty Morris from the core. I know we're 11 minutes from lock here, but Monty Morris is going to come out at this point. I got to figure out where I'm going to go.
Hey, and Bones is a game time decision too. So Highland's game time
probable
decision.
for both now. So I think both guys are going to play. I'm not moving off Jokic necessarily, but I would be more likely to. And then, I'm moving off Morris, less interest in, pretty much no interest in Highland. And yeah, for Denver at this point, pretty much Jokic is the guy I want. So I'm going to have to change things around a little bit in my lineups.
Hey, Bobby, react to this for us, buddy. So Barton trending towards probable. Bones is a game time decision. I mean, you're not getting off of Jokic for this, right?
I'm already off.
You're not even on Jokic.
I was already planning, like thinking ahead that this might be a situation.
Okay.
So yeah, like I'm not. If you're playing Jokic, like Jokic is the best play on the slate. Like he's going to be a tough guy to come off. One way, like his usage, like if Jokic doesn't get there at 12K, could be Barton eating into him. Now you have to factor into that. You have to factor into the value on the slate at the center position, just in total. Like if you're planning to play Jokic, still play him. Like I had kind of switched my core up to where I'm not gonna not playing Jokic because, like I said, I have one lineup and I just think there's a lot of center value. Yeah. If like Big T has Jokic in his core. AP doesn't have Jokic in his core. JSU doesn't have Jokic either. Big T is the only one with Jokic.
They're all on him on FanDuel.
Yeah, they're all on him on FanDuel, and he makes a ton of sense with what the scoring system is over there. Like I wouldn't get off of him. I think in tournaments on DraftKings, like I said at the start of the show, ton of value at the center position. Not telling you to fade Jokic by any means. If you have 3 lineups, I would play him in probably 2, but I have one lineup in the 555. I'm not playing.
Does this affect his ownership at all?
Not really.
Okay.
I would highly doubt it. It shouldn't.
1%. Okay.
Yeah.
Okogie's out. Wolves are starting Russell, Pat Bev, Edwards, Vanderbilt, and Cat. So that's going on there. You better relax, bro. Beal and Dozier or Kuzma and Triple J. What do you think? On DK, Beal, Dozier, Kuzma, Triple J.
Beal, Dozier, Kuzma, Triple J. I'd probably go Kuzma, Triple J.
Me too. I like Kuzma now. Kuzma. Yeah, I'm in on Kuzma with the Washington, and then I really like Triple J. Dozier I liked, but not anymore with Highland and Barton both in. He's kind of off my radar a little bit.
Last question for Bobby Gomes. D. Smith wants to know, if I'm playing Harrell with the close script, don't I just run Beal also?
You really should be running back a Heat, like a player in the Heat, if you think the game's going to stay close, right? Like the Heat guys will come in lesser owned. Well, they might not now because Harrell's going to get chalky. You should be running back like a Jimmy or a Lowry or a Bam or a Duncan Robinson for that matter, or just someone if you want the game to stay close. But that's the other thing. This is the NBA, so like you don't need to force run backs either. Like I feel like that's overdone in not only NFL but also NBA. NBA definitely in NBA. Like I think it's not as much needed.
I'm really in on the big change I made. It completely changed since the 53 minutes that we've been on the air now. I wasn't really on the Wizards at all coming into the slate. You know, I thought I was kind of hoping Barton was going to be out. So that removed Monty Morris, guys like Bones Highland. And then Gafford, I thought, was even used probable when we started the show. He's out. That moves Harrell in. And now I'm looking at, I mean, if I'm playing Harrell, I'm banking on the Wizards competing. So now I'm looking at Beal, looking at Kuzma. I'm going to go, and then I think you can go to the bench with 2 guys, Avija and Neto. This team doesn't have a lot left, but I think the dudes that they do have left, kind of like Cleveland recently, where it's just like they
can compete a little bit.
Yeah, you know, I mean,
I get what you're saying. I think Beal's super interesting
like
too.
Beal and Harrell, like I know Miami stuff, but like they're not gonna just like lay down, right? Like these guys are competitors, great basketball players. I think they'll show up.
I might switch Morant to Beal.
That's what I did. I was on Morant and Murray, and now I'm on Beal over those guys. So I don't like when it goes like this. When like the lineup that you're planning on playing all day is now just I have like 5 new guys in it. But
the NBA.
Yeah, exactly.
That is the NBA.
That's the NBA. We know.
And if you lose, you're like, the news got me.
The news got me, right? Yeah. I mean, hey, listen, that's why we do this show. Seriously. And then we got the coordinators chat all night long, JSU and Tony sometimes.
Right?
Yeah.
All you can do is react as best you can. And sometimes it takes you down a different path than you were planning to go. And if it doesn't work, hey, there's another slate tomorrow, and you'll try again. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm in on the Wizards. Yeah. So for those that saw my core in Discord, Monty Morris is out of there. Replace him with Patrick Beverly, and then build from there.
Okay. How many Wizards? WC. I've seen 3 Wizards, guys. So DeLuca, 3 Wizards.
I don't want to.
Max.
I have more than that. I'll say.
You have more than 3 Wizards. Wow, we bumped it up. Now where are we? 4 Wizards?
I don't want to give away
6
my
Wizards?
entire lineup, but
your entire lineup is Wizards.
Greater than 3, less than 8.
You have 4 Wizards?
Maybe 5. Yeah, who knows?
4 or 5.
Bobby?
Yeah, so I made a change. I have Beal in my core. And I went up from Harold to Bam. This is right. I'm playing for this game to stay close now. I need someone from the Heat to kind of bring it back. So I got off Morant and Harrell. It's 2v2 to Bam and Beal.
Okay. A couple more questions here, guys, before the bottom of the hour. We got lock in less than 5 minutes. Scotty Barnes and Butler, or Bam and Edwards on FanDuel. Parabay. Barnes and Butler, Bam and Edwards.
I'd go Bam and Edwards. I'm not on Toronto or Barnes tonight.
Hillman, does the Barton news affect Jeff Green?
I wouldn't have played him to begin with, but yes, he's the worst play now.
K Felix Burner, Duncan, man, if he's in, or Kennard. Duncan, man, if he's playing, or Kennard.
Yeah,
was that?
I think it's man over Kennard, but that's a close call for me. I like both guys.
Any thoughts on that? He's playing, by the way.
I like man over Kennard as well.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and he is playing tonight. Just want to say that again. Let me see here. Naz Reed's active. Rudy Gay. What year is this? Draymond or Triple J from Styes DFS?
Triple J for me.
Same.
Big Nick. Yeah, Big Dick Nick. You did see Bones downgraded to questionable, because that is a fact. That actually happened. So yes. Did you have any thoughts on that, DC?
I'm seeing Bones probable now as of 8.
Now he's probable on top.
Yeah,
I mean,
the Nuggets have been all over the place today with their injury reporting. So I think Bones is going to play. I think Barton at this point, been wrong about this like both ways already today. So we'll see. But I think Barton and Highland are likely to play at this point.
You're counting on Bones and
Bones and Barton. I think will both be in there. Yep.
Okay. Rashad T. What up, Rashad T? Last piece on FanDuel, 4.8K left. Kennard or Peyton?
I would go Kennard over Peyton.
Bobby, what do you think about that?
Kennard or Peyton? I would go Kennard over Peyton as well.
By the way, here we are, 90 seconds before lock. Anything else that you're waiting for before the lock, or are we just going to wait for some news after lock at this point?
I think at this point, we pretty much got it all. The Barton news was huge, but it seems like, probable. He went from doubtful to questionable to probable. You have to assume he's going to play at this point, And then the other big piece of news that was impacting my lineup was Terrence Mann, but we've got him ruled probable now. So I think there's actually, famous last words, a chance that we get no surprising news for the rest of the slate. I think that's actually somewhat likely.
Everything just dropped, right? That's what you're.
Yeah, we got it all. We'll see, but it seems like we got it all.
Where did you see the Bones thing? Is that he's probable? Barton's trending toward.
I seen that Bones wasn't
game time.
It was GTD, but
yeah.
DC's might be more updated.
I use Basketball Monster along with Underdog. Those are the two kind of services. And they're saying Bones probable. That's Basketball Monster. Haven't checked.
Okay.
But they're generally really accurate, so I trust that.
Stan 0302 DKGPP Reggie Jackson or Garland? Jackson or Garland?
Jackson.
All right, we're right here up against lock. How much, Bobby? How much do you think the lineup changes after lock tonight?
How much does it change?
Piece or two. Do you see a piece or two changing after lock tonight?
I don't think we're gonna get much late news. Like, I'm fully usually their slates, you'll hear Mangone talk about it where he's backloading for news and stuff like that. I don't think we're going to get much late stuff that's really going to affect it. I think we got the majority of it just within this last hour.
Yeah. Unless anything crazy would have happened with the Nuggets injuries,
Yeah, that's the one thing that seems like it could go sideways just because it's gone sideways 2 times already today. So maybe a third, but yeah, probably not, to be honest.
Barks wants to know if you guys have any love for Vassell.
Yeah, I think those ancillary like Spurs guys are interesting in large field stuff. Like it's going to be tough to pinpoint them.
Yeah, but Bobby, the thing that concerns me about those guys is that Thad Young's been playing so well that I don't know if you necessarily take him out of the rotation with Pirtle back. So if Pirtle and Eubanks split the center minutes, that means Thad plays the 4, which kind of pushes, perhaps reduces the minutes of Vassell, Lonnie Watt, all those guys, right? Like you get a deep rotation, get a little bit deeper tonight, maybe. Because I don't think Thad's just coming out, and I'm not sure he's playing the 5 either. So that means he's going to have to push down to the 4, which, all those guys, there's a bunch of guys that are competing for those wing minutes for the Spurs.
That's actually really good info because I was wondering about that situation. Couldn't really pinpoint it.
Hey guys, we'll hang out for a few more minutes. If you got any questions, if you don't have any questions, we kind of answered everything that we needed to answer. So here we go. We got a couple more. Good. Any love for Vassell from Barks?
We just
okay. That's what we just did. That one. Styes DFS. Barnes and Triple J or Man and Siakam. Barnes, Triple J, Man, Siakam.
Triple J side? Man, Siakam.
Oh, Man, Siakam.
Yeah,
you got any
really,
thoughts
really
on that?
close for me.
Yeah, those are close. I like Man and Siakam though.
All right. Hey guys, again, last shot here. You want to get a question in for later on? Although it really does seem like the news really cleaned everything up for us, at least for now. And you had to adjust very quickly before lock. And then after that, I'm not seeing anything else. So that's good. Bobby, let's plug our show tomorrow for anybody that doesn't know about it. 4:00 Eastern time, the news dump.
Make sure you guys are in there watching the dump tomorrow. We're gonna get all the NFL news for this weekend. Then me and DC and the boys on Sunday are gonna go over it and analyze it, and we'll be ready to rock and roll.
When's your show? When's your show on Sunday?
The show on Sunday is 8 p.m. The
Okay.
Millie Show, DC, and Snyder.
That's on Saturday. We're not doing
Saturday. Sorry, yes. Sorry, I was thinking I have the Showdown. My fault.
No worries.
It's all right. All right. So we got the news dump tomorrow at 4. Okay. That's all the news. And then me and Bobby and Tambo kind of break it down, help you with the DFS. And then Saturday night, you're on DC. We can catch you doing what this weekend? You got your article, and then Saturday night?
Yeah, 10 under 10 article. That'll be out Saturday. And then the show with Bobby and Snyder, Millie Maker Roundtable, talking all things NFL. Like Bobby said, at 8 p.m. Eastern on Saturday, not Sunday. Sunday, you don't want my takes at 8 p.m. Eastern on a Sunday night. DC's not in good shape most Sundays. So.
All right. And normally I would say thanks to our producer Helmet, but I mean the guy comes on and just says you're gonna have a shitty vacation. Like, how am I supposed to respond to that, Helmet? It's just so mean.
Before we get off,
so disrespectful.
Before we get off, have you guys hung out in Denver yet, or what's the deal?
No.
No.
It's not DC's fault. It's totally me. I did get out of the house and I saw Mangone for about an hour, but he's like 15 minutes from me. DC is all right. So you're in Boston. Think about like south of Providence, and that's
like JSU to me. JSU to me is like pretty much he's a little north of Providence.
Right.
Here's my take on it. Sometimes the universe just tells you things, and I live in a random suburb in Denver. And it's like the complete opposite side of Denver that Holden lives on. Maybe we're not meant to hang out. I don't know. You just trust the universe sometimes.
It's like you and me, Bobby. We literally lived 2 blocks from each other for a while, and we never ran into each other.
We definitely ran into each other.
We probably did walk past each other.
I was probably a young punk, probably.
We probably did. I mean, we may have eaten breakfast at Anthony's at the same time. Who the hell knows?
Yeah. What's it called? So Mangone, right? Does he? Have you? I went to the WC with Mangone 2 years ago. What's he doing? I was talking to him yesterday. I was saying like, Mangone, get on the dating scene out in Denver, and
he's going to get his hair cut. I gave him a place to get his hair cut. Hopefully, he changes the style. I'm not sure he's going to do that, but if he changes the style, he's got a shot out here because there's a lot of horny ladies out here that are.
Yeah,
easy.
make sure you got to wing it for him, Holden.
Yeah, I got my own shit to take care of right now. I'm kind of busy these days, but I'm sure he's going to be fine once. I think probably NBA ends. He'll probably get laid again. That's probably the next time.
Yeah, so it's only like 7 more months. He's good to go.
It's not much.
Yeah.
You know, it's not what's 7 more months when you've already had 14 or whatever he's on right now. It's wonderful. All right, guys and gals, thank you very much for hanging out. We appreciate it. Again, we got shows coming up with the NFL, and then we will have the Up to Lock show again tomorrow. That's at 6:00. Me, JSU, and Tony for that one. And I'm going to remind you again, Saturday night, Millie Maker Roundtable, 8 Eastern, Gomes, Snyder, DC. Helmet, get us out of here, please.